You may have a person, you may have your personal work, like you're doing, making soap, but which at the end of the day you take to your market. That lady that is helping you out there to make it is a domestic worker, because she's working doing that work in a home,
Yes.
in a home setting. A nurse or a medical assistant that is taking care of either a disabled child, old person,
At home.
old person at home is a domestic worker until they leave to go and work in a hospital. Then they will be not referred to as domestic worker. But as long as you're working there, we have people like the gardeners working in a home is a domestic worker. But when you find a gardener working in a hotel, is not a domestic worker, because she's working in a hotel, not in a home setting. So a domestic worker is a person that is working in a home setting, and according to the ILO definition, it says that the domestic worker is any person engaged in domestic work within an employment relationship, meaning that that person who's offering a service for money, in a home setting. So if one is not a visitor, if one is not a relative, you may be a relative, because for me at home, I have a relative who that is, he calls my husband, he's a cousin to my husband, but she's offering service and we are paying her. We are not taking her as a person who's a relative, no, but as a worker, because she's offering us a service. You said initially that domestic workers are very key. It is
Yes, they
true.
are.
They are very, 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 very key, because without them, I'll tell you that we would not be able to offer service. Me, myself, speaking to you, I started representing these domestic workers way back. It is over now 15 years. I've been fighting for their rights. And by then, I didn't have a family. I had not started a family. But when I started a family, I had, even the love for them just increased, because I'm a mother of quadruplets. I'm a mother of quadruplets who are 2 years old. So I don't know how I would have maintained my job without them. Otherwise, I would have lost my job, because there's no way you can cater for the quadruplets at home as well as offering your service at the place of work. There was someone back on duty after 2 months, and yet I spent 1 month in the hospital with the quadruplets. So at home, I had only 1 month with the babies. So who else would care for them as much as I would have loved if they were not domestic workers? If they were not there to offer us that service. So it is very, very key. And now we see that we are having more women getting into the world of work right now. We are having more women going into the world of work. So if they have to leave their duties that we are supposed to perform at home for our husband and our families, then who is supposed to take over that role and do it perfectly as we or wish to do it? It is the domestic worker. You will get the security guard to care for the gate. But if you, the mother, if you, the mother, you're not home, if you're home, you cater for the gate, you know who's at the gate, you go open up. You have to cook, you go cook. You clean there, you do that. But now you have to divide the roles, because one person cannot do one role, all the roles that are in a home. So a domestic worker, in explanation, I had to, go around so that we give a wider picture of who a domestic worker is.
Thank you very much. And we are at a time that we always have these domestic services exported. We've had scenarios where we have our young girls and boys move out of the country to go and offer this service in other countries, especially in the Middle East and so on and so forth. But as a union, or maybe as the Migrant Workers Resource Centre, what do you do? How do you prepare these people as they go out there? What are some of the things that you alert them on? Because we realize that sometimes they lack the information, they don't know what to ask. Some are conned, they come back beaten, they come back when they've not been paid. What are some of the things that you orient these people about as they go? And then later on I will come back to Godian and Aguti to tell us what their experience has been like, because they have been so proudly saying that they are domestic workers. So they are going to share with us the experience. But regarding to the people that move out there, how do you prepare them before they go?
Thank you so much, Maureen. The Migrant Workers Resource Centre, or in short the MRC, provides information not only to those migrating, but also to their relatives, parents, employers, and all that, and recruitment agencies. We provide information on safe migration. The reason why we have so many outcries of our sisters and brothers that have moved on to find greener pastures in employment is because they are not informed. They don't know what they are expecting to meet there. They imagine the environment they are working in Uganda is maybe the same that you will talk about, or is the same as those moving into the European and American countries. It is totally different. The other one is an Arab, the Arab countries or Arab continent, and their way of life is different. For us, the Ugandans, we are assimilated to the Europeans and Americans' life because we associate so much with them. But Ugandans, we have not related so much with the Arabs, which is not the case with Tanzanians and Kenyans. The Kenyans have associated so much with the Arabs that they know their way of life, their way of food, what they eat, their environment, how they dress. For us, that is not the setting. So we educate them on what you need to know who your employer is. But to begin with, you need to know whether you have a passport before you're thinking of traveling. You need to have a passport. How much will it cost you? You don't need a middleman to have a passport. So when parents or individuals visit the center, we tell them first, get a travel document, that is the passport. Apply online, we give them the link. They go and do it themselves if they can afford it. If they can't, we have computers at the center. We assist them, they give us the information. We assist them, enter the details. Then they leave with their appointment letters to the immigration office, all printed out, ready to go and hand over. The payment, they do it as an individual. In fact, most of them, I tell them, you can do it even on mobile money. Just go to the agent banking or anywhere. They'll make that payment for you. And here on the computer, it will show you have made payment. We confirm your date for the appointment, and you will go. That has assisted so many of people who would like to migrate, because others are requested to pay 700,000, 1 million shillings for a travel document, which is only 250,000 ordinary. Then you need it as fast as you want. You can get it at 450. But people are charged not anything less than 700 to get a passport. That is not right. So with that information, we share with them. Then we tell them, you need to know your employer. You need to know which kind of work you're going to perform. How much are you going to earn? Don't imagine that they've told me I'll earn 2 million shillings. But the day they tell you you're going to be placed, you need to have an employment contract signed before you travel, because that is what the law provides. Uganda has signed bilateral agreements with different countries, with Qatar, the recent one. We've signed a bilateral agreement with the UAE, with Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. So there are others in the pipeline. That of Oman, it's coming on. There are many others that the government of Uganda is pursuing just for the purpose of protecting migrant workers going out there. We tell them not to avoid issues of trafficking.
Yes.
They don't have to be trafficked. Who is a person being trafficked? How can you identify that you're trafficked? You will travel by a visitor's visa. But if you're not trafficked, you will go by an employment visa. Because the employer out there that you're going to work for realizes that you're the person coming to his or her home to perform the domestic work. So they will apply for your visa because he's your employer. Then you will get it. But for those who move out with visitors visa, please be very keen on that. There are many challenges, the problems we are facing, and the cases that are being reported are those that have traveled with visitors visas. Then we inform them about the working conditions, the culture out there. This is Uganda. Uganda, we are used to putting on any short dress, but out there you'll not be allowed to dress in a short dress or attire. We tell you how much do you think. You need to know how much you will be earning. Don't imagine what they told you initially, that 2 million shillings. Check it in the contract. It is reflecting, I'll earn this much. Those are the basics. Then we tell them exactly when they have a challenge with their employer or even the recruitment agency that has placed you, please communicate to us. And most importantly is you need to travel with a recruitment agency. Don't choose any company that is not licensed by the Ministry of Labour. Please, I advise everyone who wishes to travel out there, travel with a recruitment a licensed agency. You go to the Ministry of Labour, the list is there. Even you visit their website, that is www.eemis.co. Let me see. Just maybe I'll share that later. Let me note it down. Let me stress it. Then okay. I'll give it. But be sure that you've been placed by a licensed recruitment agency to avoid any mishaps while you're working or you're traveling to the Middle East.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Assumpta. I would like to go on to Godian to tell me how his experience has been, that he has worked as a domestic worker and he's very comfortable with it. Then he can share with us, as a leader, some of the experiences he has encountered with the different people that he leads, especially the domestic workers.
Thank you, Madam. Me as a domestic worker, I have done this work for 20 years. What I learned is that to know do's and undo's at work. Because my bosses, I used to have different bosses, but whoever comes gives me regulations at work. And me, what I do, I have to make sure that I follow what they have told me to do. What they have not told me to do, I can't do it. So in any case of any challenge at work, we sit together with my boss, we talk about the issues, and we solve them there and then. I go on. That's how my experience, I found that experience at work. Then as a leader, I used to find my colleagues, the challenges which they used to get at work. You find somebody is given what to do, guidelines to do at work, regulations, and you find somebody is running away from them. doing other things. When client or her client comes in and asks why, you find this one is quarreling because he doesn't know his what he's supposed to do. My fellow domestic workers outside there who are listening to us, make sure that you do your work as your boss told you to do it, because if you do otherwise, it means you are going to conflict with your boss, and the relationship between you and your boss is his work and your work. So when those guys, when they used to get challenges, sometimes you find bosses, they don't give them fair hearing, disciplinary. They don't give them fair hearing. You think, now today, go away from my job, my work. I will look for somebody else. But it is good, employees, our bosses, to give us a fair hearing. You ask what has gone wrong, then this one explain, you listen to him, then you advise him or her accordingly. That is a better relationship with employee and an employee and an employer. Some challenges are like that, but they are handled very, some of them, not all of them, but some they listen and hearing. Those are the challenges which we get at work. We domestic workers, sometimes we don't do what they told us to do.
Okay, thank you very much, Godian, for that experience shared. It is really encouraging that someone can stand and say, I've done this work for 20 years and I'm still standing and I'm able to, earn a living and to move on very well, take care of my family and so on and so forth. So I'm so happy that you love your work, because some of the challenges we face is people don't want to own up or to accept what they do. People don't want to be referred to as domestic workers because probably we have made that work look like it is not so valued. We've made domestic workers feel that they cannot proudly say that they are domestic workers because of how we are treating them. Maybe it is high time that we improve the image of that sector so that somebody will stand and say, I have been a domestic worker for 20 years and I am happy. So I would like to now come to Catherine. Sumpta told us about how this resource center is able to prepare the people that are going to offer the services, especially out of the country, and orient them and all that. Now, I would like you to speak to our people here in Uganda, Catherine. When it comes to contracts, that's a culture we really don't understand. If you're to ask who right now has given their domestic work at home a contract, I think there would be very few. Most of us would be really guilty. But when you talk about there is something that Godian talked about, especially of someone has to do what the boss wants them to do. But usually, Catherine, someone comes in your home and then you tell them you're supposed to do everything. I want you to educate us on that, because what is do everything in the home? What are the limits? How should we go about it?
Very much, Maureen. That is why as domestic workers in Uganda, we cry about employment contract. We want our job description to be described. In a home, you cannot handle everything, because domestic work is about handling the home. There are children, you have to cook, you have to clean the house, the compound is there, someone has to open the gate. Probably in the local settlement, you have to fetch water. You find one girl cannot do this. So if someone could understand that any girl you've employed is a human,
yes,
and you So if you are treated at work, you are given a job description. You know I'm an accountant. You know I'm a cashier. You know what a cashier does. I'm a domestic worker, but I cannot handle all these things. I cook. Professionally, I'm a cook. I'm a chef. So when I always negotiate for my contract, I negotiate for cooking. If you are to give me extra work, I agree on what I can handle. If I cannot handle, I always don't agree. I negotiate on what I can handle. That is if you agree on it. And another thing, as ladies, some of the ladies are married because we are old. We are growing old. You start when you're young, but you grow and naturally you have to get married. So you find in some homes, I've worked in a home where they say once you come to work in this home, you don't have to get pregnant. You don't have to have a relationship with any boy. There's nothing like boyfriend. So I disagree with that. If an employment contract is to be given, it should be stipulated about the salary, your annual leave, your maternity, your social protection, your NSSF. Because I've worked with people who pay for you, the NSSF, they have to respect you and give you equal treatment like any other worker in a public service or in a public office. I'm also very grateful to the HTS union, because before we joined, we did not know much about, all these contracts and so forth, but they helped us. There are so many girls there who are naive. They don't know about contracts. But the HTS union educated us about going to negotiate about the contracts. Yeah, they have always they have trained us to do other things apart from training us, telling us about our employment contract. They have trained us in other fields. For example, we can make soap. We have sewing machines. There are ladies who have learned how to sew. They have also taught some of us during our free time that the day we get the leaders and our director summons us to come, maybe like on a Sunday when most of us are off duty, we get together. We've learned about mushroom growing. So maybe I end here and wait for the next question. Thank you very much, Maureen.
Can I? Okay. I would like to supplement more to what my sister has said, Catherine. It is very challenging, really, especially in a country like Uganda, where domestic workers are considered to be the lower people. They don't imagine that there's an educated person performing duties in a domestic setting. No, they don't. But I would like to inform the public that domestic workers have rights, just like us who work in offices. The same right you demand from your employer is the same right that the domestic worker deserves and has a right to. Because I'll tell you that if you make a mistake and mistreat this girl, decide to withhold her salary, you decide to deduct her salary because you think she has broken my plates, my cups, you have no right to touch that salary until you have agreed with the domestic worker that you did this wrong and it is costing me and it is because of you. I don't know, if you don't like it, can you please go? I'll give you a live example. At my home, we have a person that herds the cows. But this person round, you pay salary, but he would still pick milk that you sell, and he picks off an extra cup or 2 or 3 and sells for himself. So what he declares to us is not what he has actually milk out. So the milk that you've asked him to go and sell out, he adds more water into it. So your customer thinks that you're selling out a poor product, poor quality milk. So it's me who discovered this just by watching, and I was very ignorant that this was happening. But after watching twice, I realized this guy could be doing something wrong. So I talked to my husband. My husband went and talked to the customers. The customers explained everything, and this was revealed. So we sat him down and told him, are you ready to pay? Because the other customers told us he has been doing this for 2 months. And it is 2 months that he had been working there. So my husband told him, to be fair, would you prefer to work for 1 free month without pay? But because we provide for them meals and care, everything, are you ready to do that? If you're not, we'd like to terminate your services, because we see we cannot work together anymore. So the guy said, okay, I would rather stay and work for a free month. But I told him, for someone to work for free, it is not good. I think if you feel you don't want to hold him on, just let him go. He was terminated and given just a bonus because he had worked with us for 2 months only. So you practice what you preach.
Okay.
You see, to know that these people, I want to go where you said that. How do you know that this person will do exactly this role? As in the office, they employ you as either a data manager, so be the sweeper in the office, isn't it? Yes, or the cleaner, or the coffee girl, or the coffee lady, or whatever it is, or the receptionist. So it's the same case in a home. If person, you talk to that person, I want an all-round person who can offer these services. Are you ready to perform these duties? I'll tell you that the domestic worker will also explain to you and tell you, no, I can't offer all effectively. Can I get a helper who can help out here? Because we have families. We know families which have dogs. You expect the domestic worker still the housemaid, or house help. I really don't want to use the word maid, because the word maid kind of undermines or demeans the domestic worker. So we usually call them house helpers, or a gardener, or a shamba boy, or a security guard. So that is how we divide them. Now, or a nanny. So if one is ready you want effective assistance of your care of your children, get a nanny. Get a nanny, and she will do exactly that. And you tell her the amount of money you would like to pay in that home. In our home, we have three domestic workers, because we know there is a lot of work. You cannot just, one person can, even if you paid them 1 million shillings as salary, they cannot perform their duties effectively. You'll still come back and quarrel all over about anything. So it is good to identify or demarcate those duties, and so that you can get better services to you, as offered to your family. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Assumpta, Godian, and Guti Catherine, for sharing with us openly and making us understand the value of the domestic workers and how best we can improve this sector and how we can be able to respect them more. I want to still re-echo the theme, care for those who care for you. As they take care of us, they take care of our needs in our families. Let us also care for them and love them and give them a safe environment. So I would like to also share with you the studio line, because we would be glad to hear from you. What is your experience like? Are you a domestic worker out there? What would you like to see changing? Or maybe you would like to appreciate a domestic worker. You can give us a call on 0776 511 426. Let me repeat for you the number: 0776 511 426. You can give us a call somewhere. We will be able to open the lines, and then you tell us about what you think. However, we are going to go for a very short break. You're still listening to UBC Radio, and we are here to celebrate the International Domestic Workers Day that is held every 16th June, and that is exactly what we are doing right now. So we are going to go for a very short break. Don't you touch the dial. Keep it UBC.
UBC has 11 sister radio stations spread throughout the country to educate, inform, and entertain. Tune in to UBC Radio FM 98, your national radio station, Magic 100, where sports and music is our life. 87.5 Star FM in Uganda, 97.4 UBC West covering Western Uganda, 102 Mega FM in Gulu, 97 FM Butebo Radio in Eastern Uganda, 107.0 Bududi FM, 100.5 Ngea FM in Kasese, 98.0 West Nile FM in Arua, Total Ray Radio FM 90 in Karamoja, and 93.0 Voice of Mundbujo. Now you covered in your local language. UBC Radios, inspiring Uganda.
Are you a Ugandan earning below 1 million shillings per year? Government of Uganda is strategically putting PDM for you to get you out of poverty. PDM is an initiative of the Government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform the lives of all Ugandans for better.
Get to know more about PDM in your parish by tuning in. We bring you experts to explain, clarify, educate, and interact with you on how to benefit from PDM.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life. UBC Radios, inspiring Uganda.
UBC Radio Network, your national preferred choice. We broadcast all over Uganda and beyond. Join us on 98 FM in Kampala, 99.4 FM Lira, and 97.4 FM Arua. UBC Radio, inspiring Uganda.
I welcome you back from that short break. You're still listening to UBC Radio, inspiring Uganda. And today we are celebrating the International Domestic Workers Day, a day that is, celebrated every 16th of June, and that is exactly what we are doing right now. I am joined by officials from the Migrant Workers Resource Centre who are educating and sharing with us more of how we can make the domestic workers comfortable, understand them, value them, and also grant them a safe environment to operate in your home, wherever you could be, and also to understand who a domestic worker is. So today in studio with me is Namaganda Sumpta, who is the Deputy Director in the HTS Union. I also have Tuliahera Godian, a leader of the domestic workers and also a domestic worker himself with 20 years experience. Then I also have Aguti Catherine, who is also a leader of domestic workers, and together we are trying to share ideas on how to improve this service. So there is something I would like us to clearly understand, and I will begin with Asumpta, the Deputy Director. We want to know, what are the responsibilities? How can someone elevate themselves or be referred to as a responsible domestic worker? How should you conduct yourself as a domestic worker? What are some of the things you shouldn't do as a domestic worker? Because what we are really aiming at right now is to make this work better, is to dignify this work. So what are some of the do's and don'ts? And also later on, Godian and Aguti will try to take us through the rights of the domestic workers. So for now, Asumpta, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Maureen. I'd like the public to know that a domestic worker's responsibility or obligation is to offer effective service to your employer. Offer your service 120 or 50%, so that your employer is satisfied with your service. You should, if you're required to if you're a nanny or you're all-round domestic worker, ensure that the home is safe. Ensure that you're not selling the items of the household to your neighbors, because I know many of you domestic workers, when as your boss or your employer walks out, you get charcoal, you get tomatoes, you get onions, you get salt, you get sugar, because they buy them in a huge lump sum. You go and sell out there, or you give to colleagues. You're supposed to protect the home, ensure everything is done effectively, ensure that your employer is happy with your service. If they're complaining, please find time and talk to your employer. Inquire, what do I not do right? They explain to you, then you make that right. So the do's, do exactly as your employer requires you to do. Don't do as your neighbors tell you. The neighbors will talk all they want, but at the end of the day, you know who butters your bread. The person that butters your bread is your employer. Please, I would like my colleague Godian talk about the rights of a few. Then Catherine can also handle a few of the rights.
Thank you, Madam Aswita and Madam Host. The rights of domestic worker. A domestic worker have a right to rest at work, to have day off, because it is difficult to work 7 days, then after 7 days, 30 days minus resting. That one is a right of a domestic worker. Number 2, a domestic worker have a right to get a salary, to be paid. Some of the employees, people, you find his employer or her employer had worked 30 days, but he cannot pay or she cannot pay. Yeah, he cannot pay. You have the right to do what? To be paid. A domestic worker has a right to a fair hearing in case of wrongdoing. That one, it is his right. Then another right, a domestic worker have to have where privacy, where he stays, to have a good accommodation and have a privacy there, which is in some employers. You find a domestic worker, they tell him to sleep in the kitchen. You can imagine, which is not good. And when a domestic worker makes a grievance representation, a domestic worker have a right to be represented. Especially domestic workers outside, they are my colleagues. I do empower you to join union, workers union, so that you can be represented. That one, let me give another colleague to continue with that one.
Thank you very much.
That one.
Okay.
Of the domestic workers, we have a right for employment contract. That one is a right. If we are to be considered like any other public servant, a lady has a right for maternity leave. Because you find in some homes you are not even allowed to get pregnant. They can even offer you to abort, which is not right, because the generation has to grow, to move on. The payments of salary has to be done in time, like any other worker. We also have a right for National Social Security Fund and social protection, and we want to have equal treatment. They have to respect us on duty. We need off duty as well, because you find in some homes you work and there's no off duty. You're not allowed even to go out even on a Sunday. These are the things we are crying about. If the government would really come in to consider domestic worker as any Ugandan and any employer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Catherine, for the wonderful deliberation, Godian and Assumpta. Time is really not on our side, but right now would like to open up our lines to speak to a few people to tell us what they think about this big day. So we are opening our studio lines. Like we said, you can reach us out on 0776 511 426. Please, the lines are open. Call in and talk to us. So we've really looked at quite a number of things in today's program as we celebrate the International Domestic Workers Day, and we've been able to... Hello.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too.
This is Hassan here in Entebbe.
Nice hearing from you, Pastor.
Yeah, so appreciate this program of yours.
Okay.
But I have my question. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Because there is a security company I'm working with. But those people, they just pulled our IDs. They are the one now keeping.
The national IDs?
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know how we can be in contact with them. Then see the way how they can return it back to us.
Okay. Thank you very much for raising that concern.
Yeah, because the moment you enter like this, they first ask, what is your national ID? Then they pull it out. Then they keep.
Okay. So what we are going to do, we are going to share with you the contacts of the Migrant Workers Resource Centre, and you'll be able to, raise that concern with them, and they can help you. Otherwise, thank you very much for listening to UBC. Okay. Another caller? Okay. Thank you. Hello?
Guru, eh?
Yes, please. UBC.
Yes. This is the government should provide at least the law that governs the salary of these workers. Instead to agree with the employer, the government should provide like
at least the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Like the government should come up with something like a policy on the minimum wage.
Yeah. Instead of these people, for them this to raise up, instead of giving like a 150. You get some worker is even working 50,000 per month. You see, that's just like someone is working time. That's what my proposal is.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for calling UBC, and surely your concern has been noted. Hello, UBC. Okay, so I would like to talk to the.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Yes,
UBC.
good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Thank you so much for the program. In fact, we are the domestic workers.
Yes.
But for today, Liberation Day, all of that wanted to ask because there's also a challenge in the team, the boss or employee with the domestic worker, whereby someone employed me from that. Then when I see you choose my ID, then after that, when I'm like, the work you're giving me is too much, I can't well do it. Then when I say, give me my ID, I want to go, you refuse my ID.
Okay. The
And
good thing.
secondly, you know, if I'm working in security department, but you'll find that you'll be having extra work, which is like overtime. But when you ask that how is this program going, they say no, it is one work. But moreover, I have right also to rest. So in fact, those are the challenges. With your time, you lead us as domestic workers, and if they do something bad, which is not good and recommended.
Thank you very much. We are really glad to hear from you here at UBC, and I'd like to ask Assumpta to just tell us one or two things regarding to the concerns that have been raised, and to please share your contact and where you can be found. Contact and location majorly, so that our dear listener, wherever they are, and all the domestic workers, and also the employers of those domestic workers could also be having concerns that they would like to share with you. So please tell us where to find you, share with us your contacts, and we can call it a day.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you so much, Maureen. About the comments on the callers, these issues that they've raised usually come up as a result of non-representation. If these workers join the trade union, because every sector in Uganda has a trade union, please, I implore you, find the security guards, please find the union that represents you. It's called Uganda Amalgamated Union of whatever, something like that. But I'm going to give you I'm going to read out my contact. You call me and I'll give you that telephone contact of the General Secretary for the Security Guards Union. It has other unions that are sectors that are included, but also the security guards are part of that. And for you to become a member, you have to show to declare that you want to be a member. Then you talk to your employer. If there is that trade union worker employer relationship, then that means the trade union is involved. Then they will navigate all these challenges of withholding national IDs. The reason they withhold them is because they don't know where to find you if you disappeared, if you committed a crime, because some structures are dead, are broken down. But if the trade union is there, the employer is very sure that no, I will find this employee. And how will they find you? Or how does the union make sure that they will easily find you, or you will not run away from that job or abscond after committing crimes? Is because we put work-related benefits. For example, you'll have retirement benefits, you'll have resignation benefits. So that means you will leave work after proper handing in of your documentation or your letter. Minimum wage, this is a cry that as trade unions we are still fighting for the minimum wage. The minimum wage is there, but it is archaic. It is non-applicable because the amount is not, you cannot pay that kind of money to an individual, even if it is a cleaner, even if it is a child offering a service, cannot earn that minimum wage that is in place currently. So the parliament has, as the trade unions also, that parliament, we've been fighting over it, but the president has failed to consent on the minimum wage. But as trade unions, we have other ways of doing this, and we do it through collective bargaining. If you're a member of a trade union, you'll definitely have a minimum wage with your employer. There will be a minimum wage, meaning that there is a point of entry of that amount of money. When you're not educated, you have a point of entry. When you're educated, you have a point of entry which you earn. Then resignation still goes back to joining a union. You'll have to resign according to the collective bargaining terms and agreement, then you will be given whatever benefits that are attached to it, but they will not withhold your national ID. It is very wrong to hold an individual's national ID, because that is a person's, an individual's national ID. I would like to share our contacts. We are located in Wakaliga, near Pasfai Hotel. Our contacts, you can get us on 07081 830 101 or 0782 830 101. Those are my contacts. You'll catch me directly if you called and you register your complaint. So I can see number of calls coming in, but we are still at the radio station, so I'll respond later. But those are our contacts. Let me recite them again. 0701 830 101. The other is 0782 830 101. The 0782 is the one that is on WhatsApp currently. The Airtel WhatsApp is down currently, but you can catch us on WhatsApp using the MTN line. That is how we can be got. The offices are our premises. We are not renting space that you think one time we may leave that place. No, that is our permanent home.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I would like to really appreciate you, Namaganda Sumpta, Tuliahera Godian, Aguti Catherine, for being part of this wonderful program and for addressing issues that concern the majority of us, issues that are very, very personal and very, crucial, especially to the society where we live, community, and the entire world. So I want to also appreciate our listener, wherever you are. Thank you for keeping it UBC Oris. Would like to appreciate the team we work with internally to have a good production. I'd like to appreciate Hillary and all the management of UBC for this wonderful, wonderful opportunity to inspire Uganda. My name is Moureen Akatukunda. Today we've been looking at the International Domestic Workers Day. And until next time, I urge you to keep listening to UBC. Thank you.
This is Independent Sound.
UBC has 11 sister radio stations spread throughout the country to educate, inform, and entertain. Tune in to UBC Radio FM 98, your national radio station, Magic 100, where sports and music is our life. 87.5 Star FM in Uganda, 97.4 UBC West covering Western Uganda, 102 Mega FM in Gulu, 97 FM Butebo Radio in Eastern Uganda, 107.0 Buduri FM, 100.5 Ngea FM in Kasese, 98.0 West Nile FM in Arua, Totore Radio FM 90 in Karamoja, and 93.0 Voice of Mundbujo. Now you covered in your local language.
UBC Radios, inspiring Uganda.
And entertain. Tune in to UBC Radio FM 98, your national radio station, Magic 100, where sports and music is our life. 87.5 Star FM in Uganda, 97.4 UBC West covering Western Uganda, 102 Mega FM in Gulu.